Justin Fairfax, former lieutenant governor of Virginia, killed his wife, then turned the gun on himself. Now, it's a tragic turn in the case, but not unpredictable. Now, why are any of us surprised? Justin Fairfax was an abuser. Now, in 2019, when he was lieutenant governor, two women came forward accusing him of sexual assault. Now, the first accuser, Vanessa Tyson, said Fairfax sexually assaulted her when they met at the 2004 Democratic National Convention in Boston. Now, she's now a professor of political science. Meredith Watson, the second accuser, said Fairfax raped her in a premeditated attack when they were undergraduates at Duke University. Watson said that she asked her attacker then why he had done that to her. Fairfax replied he knew she wouldn't report the incident because she had been assaulted before. Now, they had been friends, and she had confided that to him. Now, incidentally, Fairfax met his wife, Cerina, now dead, when they were undergraduates at Duke as well. Now, this guy was a ticking time bomb. Now, in 2019, when the allegations surfaced, Justin Fairfax blamed the timing on his assertion that he was about to become governor of Virginia because of a blackface scandal involving then-Governor Ralph Northam. Now, Fairfax alleged that his opponents didn't want him ascending to the governor's office, but the timing of the allegations don't squash the allegations. Now, his explanation was like Eric Swalwell's last week, saying he's not a saint. Right. Forcible rape isn't the behavior of a saint, which is a major reason why there are no statutes of limitations on felony sex abuse anymore in California or D.C., which impact the Swalwell allegations, or in North Carolina, which impacted Justin Fairfax regarding the sexual assault at Duke. Now, the 2004 Democratic National Convention took place in Boston, and Massachusetts tolls the statute of limitations if the offender leaves the state, which Fairfax did. He was just there for the convention. Now, many states have done away with statutes of limitations on sex offenses because the shame and fear that so many victims endure often keeps them from coming forward until such time that the abuser no longer has a position of power over them or the victims are at a safe distance to be able to testify about what happened. Now, for example, if it's acquaintance rape, the perpetrator could threaten to come back and finish the job, so to speak. Also, the first victim to come forward against Fairfax, Vanessa Tyson, was a survivor of child abuse, and the second victim, Meredith Watson, as I've mentioned, had been sexually assaulted before. Now, the repeated attacks might make them question whether it would be any use to come forward. Now, to acknowledge all of those realities, that crime victims shouldn't be at risk, constantly in trauma, or vulnerable to losing their jobs just to make a police report, the statutes of limitations have been done away with or extended in many states. Now, there's also the fact that sex abuse is such a pernicious crime that destroys the very fabric of society. The policy reasons for doing away with the statutes of limitations on sex crimes are well justified and will make society stronger and more cohesive. Now, offenders don't view it that way, but that's because their perception is warped. They're saying they should be allowed to hide behind the passage of time. Now, they've caused damage not only to their victims, but to all of society. Society suffers when victims are cowed into withdrawing from social participation because of crimes perpetrated against them, which, not coincidentally, makes more room in society for their perpetrators. And that's not to society's benefit. And that is the judgment of society itself. All of us, that is to say. Now, about the blackface scandal, this is the medical school yearbook page for former Governor Ralph Northam. Now, he's a doctor, a pediatric neurologist. The photo is of a Halloween party with someone in blackface and someone else in a Klan outfit. Now, Northam was accused of wearing the blackface makeup. Now, Northam at first apologized, but later said he didn't remember the incident and didn't know if it was him in the photo after all. Now, looking at the photo, I guess it's possible they placed the photo on his yearbook page by accident. The yearbook is from 1984 when he graduated, and maybe that's not him in the photo. Now, he admitted that he did darken his face with shoe polish on a different occasion when he dressed up as Michael Jackson for a dance contest in 1984. Now, Justin Fairfax, meanwhile, said, if I understand his argument correctly, that he was about to become governor, but that the rape allegations against him saved Northam by making him appear to be the lesser of two evils. I mean, maybe that's what happened, but it doesn't squash the rape allegations against Justin Fairfax, and his political career ended with those revelations. Now, Virginia limits governors to one consecutive 4-year term in office, so Ralph Northam was term limited. Now, Justin Fairfax ran in the Democratic primary to replace him, but finished with less than 4% of the primary vote in 2021. Now, he returned to the private practice of law after leaving politics. And it seems in 2023, he brought in $400,000 in his law practice as a partner at a large law firm. He was forced to leave that firm when he could no longer bring in clients because of the sexual assault allegations. Now, in 2024, he brought in just $11,000 from his law practice, which he was operating then out of his home. Now, in 2025, it was down to zero. He was $750,000 in debt. Now, he and his wife, Cerina, were in divorce proceedings. They lived in the same house. Virginia allows for same roof separation and requires 1 year of living apart before a no-fault divorce if the couple has minor children. They had been separated 2 years. She lived in the basement. He had the bedroom upstairs. Apparently, he drank all day. There were liquor bottles all over his part of the house. Now, Cerina was a dentist who brought in $11,000 every month, and she brought in $20,000 to $60,000 from investing in the office space, and she earned another $30,000 to $40,000 per year through a realty business. Justin Fairfax not only refused to contribute to the household, he claimed he had only $147 to his name. He had stalled the divorce proceedings for months and was at risk of going to jail for contempt of court for failing to pay his share of the children's tuition and the household bills. Now, the judge had ordered Justin Fairfax to move out of the home by April 30th. Cerina had offered to buy out his share of the home, but he refused. Now, when he shot and killed Cerina, then himself, their 2 children were at home. Justin Fairfax had used the money for the children's equestrian lessons to buy the gun, apparently. Now, Meredith Watson, the second accuser, issued a statement after the murder-suicide. She said that she grieves for the children and that the warning signs of Justin Fairfax's behavior and anger had been there for decades. So, a lot of folks could be mystified by the behavior of defendants who are always hiding behind the law. Now, Justin Fairfax, for example, says he's innocent until proven guilty, and he was never charged with the crimes alleged by Vanessa Tyson and Meredith Watson. He was never even charged, he says, but prosecutors have their reasons. Sometimes witnesses have disappeared or their memories have faded. Now, this is especially true of corroborating witnesses who were not the victims of the crimes themselves, so they may not remember the details. Now, physical evidence might have disappeared as well, or maybe the victim didn't do a rape kit because the victim was afraid, demoralized, all of those things that the defendant intends as obstacles to reporting. So when a defendant says innocent until proven guilty, that's a true statement. It is. It's also a technical statement of the law. The practical reality, though, for certain types of defendants whose behavior is extremely dangerous and pernicious is that society isn't stupid and won't look the other way. When the offenders land in a jail cell, pre-trial with deplorable conditions, they should realize at that point that society won't look the other way. Now, when all of those state legislatures did away with or extended the statutes of limitations on sex crimes, at that point, those offenders also should have realized that society won't look the other way, and really, society isn't stupid. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.